welcome to the Silent Hill Ascension pre-show. I am Layla, that's Eduardo, and hey Eduardo, would you mind running us through the run of show?
Of course, I'd be delighted to, Layla. So, as usual, we have our pre-show right now. That's the one that airs at 5:40 p.m. Pacific, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. The show's at 6 p.m. Pacific. And today, as a reminder, for those of you who weren't here on Wednesday, we have a guest in our post-show. This will be with Don Fackard. I'll be in Layla's delightful company. And Layla, speaking of delightful company, how about you accompany our audience to what Silent Hill Ascension is?
If you don't know, Silent Hill Ascension is a socially interactive streaming series where all of you collectively shape and experience its evolving story, collaborate and compete with others to try and make the choices you want. When each decision ends, that choice locks in as canon, and that is the version of the show everyone sees. A canon story shaped by you, the participating audience, every day. And right now, we're going to go quickly to the setup scene of production will throw up for us. Eric fears that Faith is becoming evil. Sorry, I can read. Eric's fears that Faith is becoming evil are inflamed after he and Rachel witnessed the little girl about to bloodlet Barbara.
I finally got her down.
You shouldn't have taken her out of the house.
Rachel, I'm worried that she's changing into something that's not our daughter.
I thought you said she was asleep.
Faith?
Do you remember the word? Like a big girl?
Uh-huh.
By hollowed blade, I draw out my affliction.
That's very good, Faith. Now what do we do next?
Oh my god.
We were only playing.
Faith, get away from her. Now!
What the fuck, Rachel? I told you that it wasn't safe for Faith to be here with her in the house. And you, how could you look us in the eyes all those weeks? See everything we were going through, and let us think our child was dead. I could fucking kill you! What did you do to my daughter?
I didn't do anything.
Tell me!
Eric, she's not worth it. Put the knife down.
I'm getting Faith out of here. For real this time.
You're not going anywhere.
No. You don't get to tell me what to do. Not this time.
Your husband's finally growing a backbone. Too bad his stubbornness will be his demise. None of you will survive the withering.
Welcome back, everybody. We hope you enjoyed that. Before we get into our regularly scheduled discussion segment, we just wanted to say, chat, we've been keeping an eye on y'all since right before the show. We see you. We have flagged the concerns internally, and our team is investigating. If you have concerns in the future about decisions, or you think there's some cheating about, the best thing you can do, flagging it in chat is great, but there is a chance we'll miss it. So if you could send details of the incident to feedback@genvid.com, that is the best way to reach our team, and for us to have a written record and for us to be able to investigate internally. We really appreciate you guys giving us feedback. This community is incredible, so thank you so much. But in the meantime, Eduardo, that little girl had a knife.
Yeah, and she was just playing with, Barbara, getting stuff together. Like, children love to play. I'm glad, like, it's like the children's riddle. What is it? To suffer in the grove, or, that kind of thing. Like the things you had in your childhood.
We're suffering in groves, we're suffering in gardens, we're suffering in parks. It's all over the place.
Yeah, no, I do like Eric again being the concerned parent. Like, look, I told you not to leave her with her. Like, just normal stuff. Absolutely normal stuff.
Yeah, I like Eric stepping up a little bit, because historically we know that hasn't been the case. And speaking of historically, Eduardo, I do believe production's going to throw up a Pennsylvania graphic, and you're going to walk us through the story so far in Pennsylvania.
Of course, we're going to talk actually more about Eric because he made the choice to reject Krista's offer of Ascension. That's one for the books. He said, nope, not into it. Not into it for my daughter, not into it for myself. You go with Ascend, I'm good. Now, Rachel learns about Eric's decision regarding Krista, and Eric learns about Barbara being tied down, for lack of a better term. You know, it's important even as divorced parents to kind of maintain that relationship for what's best for the child. So good parenting skills there. Now, Eric is increasingly worried that, as you saw in our setup scene, that Faith might be evil, as he and Rachel witness Faith about to bloodlet Barbara, a little bit led on by Barbara as a result too there. Honestly, they have seemed like not the best parents for a long time. But this week, Eric and Rachel seem to have really stepped up to the plate.
Yeah, listen, I like to give a lot of grace to parents as much as I can. No one knows what they're doing out there. Little kids are really hard. It's the reason I'm personally abstaining. But yeah, it is nice to see Eric and Rachel find their priorities, because I think that's been a big part of their problem so far, right? They've been prioritizing the Krista fling. We've had priorities on these rituals, and now finally they're seeing the forest through the suffering trees, and they're like, no, we gotta keep an eye on our little girl, who is bloodletting the kidnapper in the basement, which is a lot.
Yeah, you know, like at some point they're like, wait, maybe our kid isn't supposed to be doing this stuff. We gotta dial it down a little bit. We will talk, by the way, about that decision on what will Rachel do with Barbara. And by the way, when Layla talked about what was going on, that was what you at the audience were done. And don't worry, again, flag that to internal teams, because we want you to get the story you want to see. It's important to us. But I did like how much they were discussing who should be doing what. Like, you know, letting her go is one thing, but like that whole aspect of like, I mean, originally on before the Wednesday scenes, because again, I don't look at these in advance. It looked like getting Eric to torture Barbara was not like a harsh option, and then Eric's like, no, I'm on board, no problem here.
Yeah, Eric is ready to bust out some old school techniques. You know, we got bloodletting. You know, he could consider a great deal of options that are available to you in a Pennsylvania basement, like centipedes. I don't know if anyone ever watched Fear Factor in the early 2000s. I'm sure there's a lot of inspiration you could take from those old shows. Yeah, I'm surprised, man. I think I can't remember what day it was we were watching chat, but somebody basically said he had a brain of mush or spine of steel or something like that. And you know what? Right on. Hey, speaking, actually, I don't have a transition for this one. We're going to Norway. Eduardo, production, if you wouldn't mind, the graphic. I see production laughing at me. I'm sorry. Eduardo, if you wouldn't mind reading it.
The transition here was that, speaking of being tied down, Astrix is paralyzed. There we go. See, as Aurora torments her and coerces her to tell the truth about Carl to Orson. That was actually a really touching scene, as horrific as it was, about how Astrid tried to communicate something, frankly, quite complicated to her young child. Now, a little less complicated, a little bit worrying was Britt returns to the farmhouse and finds Orson with a gun, saying he wants to keep playing with, quote, fun, Britt. And now, as you know, today, something else, Aurora claims eating a mysterious root is the key to understanding what happened to Orson. And I saw you. Yes, there we go. Give us Hystrid. I saw you as we were preparing. That is definitely the word for tonight, Layla.
Yes, we clocked Hystrid before the show, and we were so hoping she was going to make a return. And here she is. Yeah, man, I would like to point out for our darling audience that the root decision is not a fate decision, so, like...
Have at it.
Have at it, you know?
Tasty root. What could go amiss?
You know, it looks like, I love a root. I love a potato, a tuber, you know, I love a carrot. Ginger, hit or miss, but you know, it's out there. And maybe it's good for her. Maybe she can make a little root tea and you know, Ascension tea. Hey, I don't know where our merch folks are. Write that one down. But yeah, man, it's crazy over there in Norway. And I do also like fun Brit. Orson has an interesting idea of fun.
Oh yeah, fun Brit. She's the one that gave me the gun. That's very fun. To be fair, we're not 100% sure about Fun Brit. Like, personally, my theory is that it's Other Brit. I actually don't know who it is. Layla has full knowledge, so this is really fun. I'm suspecting for the two of us as I flounder trying to guess what's going on. And Layla's like, yes.
Layla has full knowledge, but a brain made of Swiss cheese. It's just all holes up here. So I might have known it at one point, but the question is, did I forget?
Yeah, no, that's fair. But I mean, the thing is, though, that is going to be actually interesting to see if we do get behind the mystery of Fun Brit and what, you know, and kind of how they handle Orson. It's not an easy thing to deal with a child. And a child with a knife is one thing. A child with a gun is another.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's songs about that at some point buried in my deep memory. But you know, as Orson, we're hoping he's not maybe fated to repeat the cycle. Well, the audience does get to decide. This is why you're the king of transitions. We're talking about fate and hope now. Eduardo, you want to walk us through?
Sure. Now the thing is, our characters, you know, throughout all of this, redemption, suffering, or damnation, redeeming more than kind of the others, it's going to decide what happens to them in the Silent Hill Ascension's finale. Their fate is decided across the length of the season. That's kind of the unique take on what you're doing here. But the important part is that a character's hope needs to be high enough for them to survive a crucial story moment. Because yes, you've picked redemption on and on and on. Not necessarily all of you in the audience. It's just the option that took it over.
Uh-huh.
But the hope is a little different. So the important part here, I am going to check because Eric's hope has been going up. And Rachel's hope has been going up. So, and partly that's because I think the audience has been doing better in the indoor scenes, but I think it's also because you started liking the characters a bit more. Like Rachel at the start, people didn't like her. So like, let's tank her. Eric didn't like him in the middle, you know, the Morgie drama, the Krista drama, bam, let's go down. But Rachel's hope is actually like around the middle now, still negative. Eric's has gone down a little as well, but like we got in Pennsylvania kind of the martyrs, right? Like the hopeful but negative hope, negative hope, but like redemption fates. While Brit and Astrid are more on the positive side. Although Astrid, it's dicey. Like essentially here, it's the question of what's going to happen to them at the end. And you know, it's a question of how much time do you actually think you have, audience?
Exactly. And that's a thing that Layla does know. But yeah, man, the long term, how much time we have is an interesting question. And I am seeing, I think you have a good point in the fact that Eric's hope is like a little bit lower because it did dip pretty significantly and now it's coming back up. Rachel, the second most interesting case to me because I do think you guys have been a little bit Stockholmed by the girl boss. You know, I think now you guys appreciate us, right? Now that the pedal's to the metal and something needs to get done and the consequences are dire, that's when the girl bosses come in, right? Hey man, I get it. I too am an underappreciated girl boss queen. I'm just out here trying to do my best. But hey, production has a graphic and now we're speaking of girl bossery. We're gonna ask what's Rachel gonna do with Barbara? That's a fate decision. Eduardo, would you walk us through it?
Of course. So what will Rachel do with Barbara? The options are let her go, redemption, torture her alone, suffering, have Eric torture her, damnation. Not going to bury the lead for all of you in the audience. Right now, redemption's winning by a ton. Yesterday, 2 days ago, yesterday, it was pretty close. It was actually like kind of all thirds. But I think Team Redemption kind of coordinated, probably. Again, we are aware. We're talking to our dev team. We're checking stuff up, so it's always on the up and up for all of you in the audience. But right now, let her go is kind of the option that is very likely to be seen, but with a kind of almost 5 million influence point lead. So that's kind of the thing. There is a high chance that that's the one we're going to see, Layla. Not guaranteed. We never really use the G word that much. But my question isn't about the letting her go. It's about what happens after that. I don't think they're going to just let her go and like, okay, whatever, let her run off. Gotta follow, right?
Yeah, you gotta follow her. Sorry, I thought there was going to be more to that.
No, sorry.
No, yeah, they probably not. Huh? I'm trying to think. Okay, I have my child's kidnapper in my basement. What am I doing? I think I'm keeping them there. I'm napping them back. You know, you think it's so fun to be taken away? Fine, I'll take you away. We're going on a road trip, baby. It's gonna be the worst one you've ever been on. So, personally speaking, you know, eye for an eye, so to speak.
Oh, that's how you do it? You're like, I'm going to keep an eye on you and just take the eye out just to make sure they come back or something?
That's
How it
that's
works?
an option. That's that's Layla's suffering option. Those are my 3 fate rails: is awful road trip, take the eye, murder. So
To be fair, the murder option would have been popular because our audience last Friday was bloodthirsty. When they saw Rachel with Barbara, they were like, get her, get her. Like, I saw you all of there in the audience. I saw you in that chat. You're like, you were not just looking at the action. You were like thirsty for blood, Barbara's blood specifically.
yeah, they also love to read our characters because Cheese Rainbow says, still bothered that Pirate Rachel is dressed like she's going to sell me life insurance. She's going to sell you life insurance and then scam you for it, I think. I don't know, she might sell you life insurance and then, maybe Eric's got a beautiful life insurance policy out on him. We simply don't know.
Yeah, I mean, we can only hope. Yeah, like life insurance in Silent Hill, maybe that's actually a good policy, right? Things are going to go bad, so why not have it?
Absolutely. Raina Mare saying, Rachel prepped to go door to door and ask if we heard of her finger collector. Not a door I would open, personally speaking. All right, guys, it is almost time for the show, which means Eduardo is going to talk to us about endurance scenes.
Right. So, as a lot of you know, when the endurance scene starts, you will have to time your inputs to the actions you see on screen to help our character. Your success, character hope rise. Failure, character hope goes down. Now, as you do these, again, remember hope, whether they survive or die. So if you like the character, you probably want to help them out. If you don't, it's fine. Let them fail. Let them get eaten by monsters. It's not actually that bad. It's actually kind of entertaining. Actually, Dawn, in our prep, Dawn did talk about the Endurance cinematics. So that I think the audience is gonna enjoy hearing about those because one of the things with the Endurance scenes, right, is I know you and the audience are focused when they happen, and you try to do your best because for a variety of reasons, right? It's also a good place to get influence points. But Don will talk about the cinematics behind. And the other thing that we've tried to do from the development team side is we've heard your feedback, what you write in chat night after night, what you send to us via feedback@genvid.com. We've tried to make the endurance scenes better. This is actually in script. I'm just saying this because I see our development team working on it. And yesterday it seemed like it was a little bit better for all of you. So keep writing your feedback in. We want to make sure you have the best experience possible.
Absolutely. That's a fun game for all of our audience to play. What nonsense that Eduardo and Layla say is scripted. You'll never know. Somebody wishes they could write the out-of-pocket things that come out of my mouth. Anyway, Eduardo, it's almost time for the show. Would you care to summarize and take us out?
Absolutely. The big thing with the show tonight is really the heralds, so to speak, right? The children and the heralds. How will the parents deal with their children, and how will the parents also deal with the heralds? One's tied up, the other one's in a nice little fountainy area. Now, the big thing with tonight, 2 decisions are actually coming to a close. That's a lot. What will Rachel do with Barbara? You're probably going to see let her go since that's winning by a lot. But what will Astrid do with the root offered to her by Aurora? Eat the root is ahead. So you are most likely going to see that result. But again, force Aurora to eat it is close. So really, you're going to see the results of that in the next couple of minutes. There's not much more for me to say here, Lola, except that Don Thacker will be with you, and I'm out.
And we'll miss you so much, Eduardo. Who will do masterful transitions when I forget where I'm going, middle of the thought? Certainly me and Don. Enjoy the show, everybody. Have a lovely time, and we'll be back on the flip side with Don Thacker.